Hello, it's Emma here again, and I'm here to show you now how to set up Zoom as a teacher and how to teach yoga in Zoom, and some top tips about how to make that actually workable and legible and things like that. So first of all, we're going to go into the Zoom and set up the meeting, which is actually quite easy. So let's follow here. Let's go to my account. And here let's schedule a meeting because it's quite handy to do this slightly ahead of time. So when we go into schedule meeting, let's choose a name. Vinyasa Yoga, for example. And then we'll say, a lovely class with Emma, or whatever you want to say. I'm not using templates now, or I do have one actually, but I'm not going to do that just now. I'm just going to show you how to set it up from scratch. And then you can use what you've made as a template for later. So let's set up the class for example, Monday. And let's make it at 3 o'clock, and we'll make it an hour and 15 minutes, for example. Okay. So I'm going to show you the basic setup, and then I'll go through some options. So I tend to not use a password here because I'm not sharing the links publicly. I'm going to just send the link to the people who actually book in. I'll go into booking a little bit later. And so it means that only the people that I am expecting are actually going to turn up. If you are going to post your link publicly, I would recommend using a password so that someone doesn't turn up and do something unexpected in your meeting, which I have heard is quite common occurrence. So video, your host video should be on, obviously, because you're going to be showing everything. I usually put the participant video on as well because it means that when people are in your yoga class, you can actually see what they're doing and give them cues and things like that. They obviously have the option of turning off the audio and also the sound. I'll go into that too. Now, audio, computer audio. Don't do telephone because for a yoga thing, you're not going to be sitting on the phone and also on your Zoom. And also, so earlier today I had people getting a little bit confused in one of the classes where they thought that they needed to dial in something. No, computer audio only. In the meetings options, what I do is I enable the waiting room so that I tend to start the meeting about 15 minutes before the actual class begins. And then as people start to turn up, they go into the waiting room, and then I can see how they turn up, and I'll show you some of that later. And then I also record the meeting, and I tend to record it in the cloud because that means that all of these things are going to be backed up on the Zoom account. I should say, for teaching yoga, you should get a pro account on Zoom, because if you have a free account, then you can only do up to 40 minutes for your meeting length. Unless you're only teaching yoga, which is less than 40 minutes, in which case you can do that. But having the longer thing gives you more flexibility. It means that you can have up to 100 people in your class. So about recording, I'll show a little bit more about how to do that a little bit later. But just for now, you've got this meeting set up, and then all I do is I've got this meeting and I just copy the invitation, and everything that's here I just send that to the people who have booked into class. I'll go into that in a minute. And so all they do, if you look at my other video, which is all about how to get into a meeting, they just click on this link and that'll take them to where they need to go. Okay, so we've done that. Now, let's go into booking. So there's obviously not really a way on Zoom to book into a yoga class. And if you're a yoga teacher, you probably already have various settings in place of how people have been booking into your class. I'm working with different studio owners and different setups right now. So a lot of the people who have an app on a booking system like MindBody or GlowFox, they're just keeping that. They've changed the settings a little bit about how much people are paying and things like that. And they just have people book in as usual to the class. And then when we have a list of the attendees for each class, we just send them out that link. that invitation link, so that they have that before the class starts, and then they just enter. What I'm doing for my own personal thing, I don't use a booking system for my own individual classes, because I'm not that, well, I just haven't invested in that. What I do, as you can see, here's my website. If we go to book classes, I have got WooCommerce, which is a payment engine, which is plugged into WordPress, which is how I do my website. And all I've got is here. So let's see, Sunday Beginners. I've made it as a product that you can purchase. This is how I used to do my real life classes, that you would buy a class pass on here, and it's connected to PayPal. So what I have here is people can now book into, basically buy an individual drop-in for my class. I've got rid of the class passes just for now. Or rather, people who have a class pass which is still valid, I'm just allowing them to continue to use that until it runs out, and then they're going to book in individually to this. So what they do, they book that, and when I get the notification email of their booking, I'm just going to individually send them, because I'm not dealing with like 100 people, so I'm just going to send them individually the link to the event. And that's that. And that's quite a simple way of them booking in. Now, I had a question from someone, which is that, what if I don't have a website? In which case, I actually did this for like the first ever Zoom class I did, because I hadn't got it set up yet. I just sent people my PayPal and said, please send me this amount of money. And then after they sent me the money, I just sent them the link. Quite lo-fi, but basically you're just handing over the links. Helps people to set things up. Okay, so that's really all you need to know in terms of setting up the meeting. Now, I want to go into a few technical tips on how to make your video nice and good. People tend to enjoy my videos for their clarity. And if I show you, for example, this one's pretty good.
Too much.
Right. So what's important is that, tuck your tail underneath. What's important is that you should be legible, audible, and visible, because you're putting across information and people need to hear it. So make sure that you have not too much stuff in your shot. Make sure that you're well lit. So I actually use, this is a bit random, but it's very effective. You can see it right here. So it's a sad lamp by Lumi. And that, as you can see, is very bright, and it lights up very nicely. And in this video here, you can see even the shadow. And I mean, you might argue that the shadow is not very attractive, but I don't mind, and it actually means that I'm well lit and I can film in the day and in the night time and always be visible. If you're going to be making videos on a regular basis, I recommend it. Or even not that, just light yourself well with any lights. Make sure that you are visible, okay? So your people who are coming to your classes, they don't have to worry about it so much, but they need to see you. So think about that. Also an interesting like technical thing, the first class I did, do I have the video? No, I don't think so. Anyway, my yoga mat's quite dark, and I also had dark yoga leggings on, and in the seated section we were doing like Virasana and like Ardha Supta Virasana and stuff, and people were like, I don't know which leg you're using. So I have started using higher contrast mats and clothes, so that you can actually tell the difference.
I promised you that you don't.
Right, so talk so much. You can see here that even though this is a lower quality video which I've uploaded to YouTube, which has come from Zoom, even so I've got dark leggings, but then I've got a lighter coloured mat, so you can actually see what's going on. Actually, now that I look at it, this white t-shirt against the white background is not the most genius idea, but it wasn't too bad because arms and legs you can still see. Okay, so you need a good light, you need to be visible, you need your space to be clear. Now, audio. You need to be audible. Zoom is pretty good that its microphone is auto-adjusting, and I haven't had problems with sound, even though I'm playing music at the same time. What I do is I use a USB speaker and I place it to the side of the computer, not right beside. Because think about this, the speaker shouldn't be closer to the microphone than you are, because your voice is more important than the music. As entertaining and atmospheric as it is, your instructions are the most important thing. So I'll show you the video in 1 second of how I was setting up for this class that I taught, actually, this one right here. And you can see how I did it. Now I use a mic that I plug into the computer. I'll show you right now. It's a mic by Rode. It's a video mic that I plug into my camera when I'm making videos, and I just plug it straight into my computer. I prop it up, and it's a directional mic, which means that it doesn't get sound from outside. It's only pointed at me, so it gets the sound which I am making. Now, it's up to you if you want to invest in things. This cost, I think it regularly costs £40, and we paid £20 on it because my husband is really good at like eBay stuff. But if you don't want to, so you can choose to invest in things like that. But just make sure that you are audible, and always double check with your students that you are audible during and maybe after the class. To that effect, microphones aside, speak clearly and take your time. And I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to show you how I did the setup for this class right here, with my technical setup and my lighting and everything else, because it'll give you an insight about how to do that. And then I'm going to come back and do some more teaching tips. Yeah. Hello. So I'm about to record a Zoom class, or rather to do a live stream Zoom class with a bunch of people, and I wanted to show you my setup just so you can see. Now you can see I have a nice clean space. That's my lesson plan right there. That will be just out of shot mostly. You can see I'm lucky to have these big white walls, so it's fairly clear. I've got my lighter coloured yoga mat so that I can be seen against my green leggings, only leggings which fit me right now because I've got a big pregnant belly. So here is a computer. I decided to film on my computer, not my phone, because the aspect ratio is slightly wider. It's 16:9, not 4:3, which means that you can get in slightly wider on me. But I don't know, I might experiment with using the phone instead, because obviously the resolution of phone video is very high. Phones are amazing nowadays. So I also have, you can see, this little doohickey, which I love. I got it off Amazon like years ago. It's wide angle lens that you can put onto a phone or any like mini camera like that, just to make it a little bit wider. So you can see that's the angle that it gets right now. Without it, it's a little bit tighter in, so you can't see the yoga mat anymore. And because I'm kind of tall, I'm like 5'7" or 8, so I need to be like totally in shot, but I don't want the computer to be too far away, because then the microphone will be compromised. So I've got this little clippy guy that I put on. Now that's totally optional, but it depends how tall you are. But so clear sound, as you can see, is a priority. You need to be, speaking of which, this music is so dramatic. Okay, hello. Clear sound is a priority, and so you want to make sure that you can maximize that. I am lucky to have this microphone, which is a Rode on-camera mic. So, hopefully that was helpful for you to see how I set things up. You don't have to do things exactly the same, but it's just an insight into how I approach things. Now, teaching tips. A lot of this stuff is kind of maybe self-explanatory, but also follows in with how you would usually teach. Think about, are you teaching a room of 5 people? Are you teaching a room of 55 people? How are you going to make yourself understood, right? So you have your teaching voice, use your yoga teaching voice even here in the same way. So enunciation is really important. Also think about maybe you can't go up to people and prod them, or even your demonstrations, have to be really clear. But also think about how can you put things across in more than one way. So if you're in a lunge, right? So here, for example, in this posture, we're doing an Anjaneyasana, low lunge, with side stretch. And so I talked about the left knee, but then I also said the knee that's on the floor, right? Because from life and yoga teaching that right and left doesn't always kind of compute. And then I said take the left wrist with the right hand, and I also emphasized, so it's the same, or rather clarified, so I say it two ways. The left wrist with the right hand, so it's the same wrist as the knee that's on the floor. And that helps. And I actually saw people adjust as they heard that cue. So use your teaching voice, cue in several ways, take it slow. So me teaching the online yoga, I'm speaking more slowly and going through the flows slightly more slowly than I would in the room, because we need to all keep up, and you can cast your eye and see how people are keeping up, or are they actually, I teach vinyasa yoga, which actually goes quite fast, so it's not just standing still. I want to see that people are actually with me, right? Number 3, don't be fancy. So I always like a fancy flow, which is fun, and that's true, but at this time, if people are practicing with you online and it's in the COVID times, they don't need the craziest thing they've ever done. Keep it to something that they're going to get an experience from. Yeah, so added bonus, this is such a great opportunity, which is that we're all practicing together and yet we're in our own space. And so it's really encouraging people's home practice, which obviously is something that we encourage people to do so that they have autonomy over their practice and it becomes a part of their lives more. So really emphasize that when you're teaching. So here's a little clip from one of my earlier classes where I actually talk about this.
So we're practicing from home, which means that you have autonomy over your practice. Can't see what your toes are doing, so you have to look. Is your pinky toe side of the foot active? Are the inner arches of your feet lifting up buoyantly? Are you looking for a 90-degree angle in that front leg? Oh yeah.
And now the other thing is that because people are at home, you can encourage use of their own stuff. Blankets, cushions, pets, loved ones, pots and pans, blocks, books, incense, candles. You can really help people to make things their own. So I'm going to show you now how we can actually manage the call when you're in the meeting, so that you can do how you do muting and how you do video and how you to manage recording, and a couple of tips about that. So I'm going to start this meeting. So Zoom is opening and I'm going to join with, I'm not, yeah, okay. I'm just muting it for now because I'm also recording on another thing, so I don't want to have feedback. So you can see me here. And I'm just waiting for my yoga participants to come in, i.e. me on a second machine. But I can show you here what we're doing. It's recording, and I'm going to pause that now. Here you have resume stop recording. I'm going to stop the recording so that I can start again and tell you about this. So now I have on the other machine, Vinyasa Yoga student has entered the waiting room, because I set up a waiting room for the thing, so you can see manage participants. And so here you have one person is waiting. I tend to, depending on what I'm doing, maybe let them wait for a minute and then admit them. So now you can see they're coming in. Try and turn on here. Good. Okay, so I can show you now the different views. We've got the gallery view where all the people will be equally the same size. So that in a real yoga class will look like this. Spread the toes on the foot so the foot gets so active, and that will help you step back with care until left heel meets the floor. Here I'm just testing it with 2 people so you can see some plants. So we have gallery view and we have speaker view. So when you're teaching the class, you should be in speaker view because basically the person who is speaking, it can detect who is speaking and it puts that person into the larger view. And don't worry if you can sometimes see other people, they can always see you, because I've always checked with them and it said, can you see me? And they say, yes, yes, yes. So here you can see at the side, you can mute people, and you can do mute all and unmute all. And basically what I tend to do is at the start of the class I have everyone like talk to each other and we all say hi, and then just as we start to begin I mute everyone apart from myself. Now here I can also what else can I do? Nothing else. Won't do that. So about recording, make sure, so if you want to, it depends how you want to record things. If you want to record things where you can see everyone equally, then you begin the recording while in gallery view. However, if you want to basically use this as an online class and later, you know, put it on demand or put it on YouTube then you should be in speaker view when you begin the recording. So you get it into speaker view and then you press record. And you can choose either on the cloud or on this computer, it's your choice. If you record to the cloud, then there's a slight processing time as it works through the video, but then it'll be stored online on your Zoom account and you can download it from there as well. If you record to the computer, it'll save onto your hard drive. So we'll record to the cloud. And now you can see recording and you can pause it and it records both sound and picture. What else can I tell you? You can manage your participants, we've done that. And apart from that, there's not really that much that you need to know. You just run the class, you know, do your thing. At the end, you can, I tend to unmute people. We will do our Om together and then have a little chat and then say goodbye and then end meeting. That's all the things. If you have any questions, of course, just comment underneath. Or you can find me on Instagram at Yoga Emma, which has got 1 M in it, or on Facebook, Yoga with Emma with 1 M. And apart from that, you know, we're all learning, we're all kind of transitioning into the virtual world. So if you have any ideas as well, you can share them with me and I'd really appreciate it. But thank you very much, and I hope this is helpful. Yay! Peace out.